Sorry, just checking out One Football. 25 points clear of Manchester City at the top of the Premier League. It's the best football app known to man. You can get all your news, all your stats, all your updates. You can turn notifications on. It's got transfer news, it's got everything. But ultimately what it's got and what every app at the moment has, and the best part of this app is this. Liverpool are 25 points clear at the top of the league table. Download the One Football app by clicking the link in the description. I'm here to discuss Norwich versus Liverpool with Ben, with Kieran and with Georgia. So we'll get into it then. Liverpool beating Norwich by the 1-0 to extend our lead at the top of the Premier League table to 25 points. I'm going to try and say that 25 times during the show.
That
I think
sounds
I'm up
good.
to 3.
Yeah.
By the time I've done another one and said that again, we're 25 points clear, that'll be 4. We'll try and keep that rolling. Tom, if you can have a little finger count behind there for me. Every time that I say we're 25 points clear at the top of the table, I want a little note written. And then we can go from there. So Liverpool 25 points clear at the top of the league table. Ben, what did you think about the game?
How many
against
points?
Norwich?
Sorry.
25.
25.
Yeah.
25.
Says it here on my One Football app.
Does it now? Does it now? What did I make of the game? I thought it was good. I thought we were okay. But ultimately, you know, as a team who are 25 points clear at the top of the table,
Ben counts as well.
Thank you. They went and got the job done. You know, in a game where at times, you know, it was a little bit lackluster. We ended up, you know, essentially coming away and doing the job. As a team that's top of the league, playing the bottom of the league should be doing, to be fair. Norwich at times have proven that, you know, it can be a tough place to go. But at the same time, you know, they've also proven that they're suspect defensively. And I always, you know, obviously it takes us 77 minutes to get the goal, doesn't it? But eventually, I always backed us, and I never really worried that we weren't going to win that game. And I think that just speaks testament of where we are as fans mentally with this Liverpool side. Never mind where the players are themselves, because they must be at a point, you know, where they're not worried, particularly, you know, if it gets to the last 20 minutes of a game, it's still 0-0. They know that the chances are going to come. They know the opportunities are going to keep coming because, you know, that's just how good we are at the moment. You know, overall, as I say, I was never worried, and it felt like very much like a tick box exercise to get us back up and running after the winter break.
Yeah, I mean, the conditions were really difficult as well, weren't they, Kieran? I mean, you could tell, you know, anyone who went down to the game spoken about how windy it was, and you could see by Jurgen Zud kept hitting him in the back of the head that it was dead windy and the ball's going into the air, there was wind everywhere, but didn't stop us going 25 points clear at the top of the league, did it?
No, it didn't. And like you say, after the game, you could see Farkas here flowing about his luscious locks in the wind. But it was an entertaining enough game. Like Ben said, didn't do anything spectacular, but apart from Mane's goal, it was lovely. But it was just a really professional performance, and the way they were probing, trying to get into Norwich. I think Norwich were obviously looking for a bit of a counter attack or whatever, but they broke them. They had a flurry of chances, didn't they, in the second half, where we could have had a couple of goals. And if that Keita goal had gone in, I'd have been screaming my head off. But yeah, it's just a professional performance, like you say, like you expect from someone top of the league. And you hope that after a little break now, they can kick on and start scoring 4 or 5 goals towards the end of the season when they get more relaxed again.
I mean, Georgia, what's it like playing in the wind like that?
I mean, it's awful. Like, it's, you know it yourself of just going outside. It's the nightmare, and then to throw in the fact that, like, you've got to, like, it was, well, you know.
I hate the outside world.
It's me hair. It messes me hair up when I go out in the wind, I'm honest, to be honest with you, Georgia.
But, like,
it's like the rain, it goes fizzy.
Okay. It's just a nightmare because the what you want to do, especially Liverpool, because there's such a, we like to get the ball down and play, and a lot of it is our style is to move the ball about and, you know, clipping balls in behind, to have to then think about, you know, oh, the wind's blowing this way, the wind's blowing that way. It just kind of adds another element that you don't want to be thinking about.
It didn't stop us attempting long passes or anything, though, did it? Did we try and use that to our advantage, do you think?
I think so. I think we did. I think Klopp said in his interview afterwards that we maybe tried to hit the long ball a little too early, which I agree with. And I think it also, I mean, I don't know about us, but I thought Trent for the first half, his like touch and his pat just wasn't on it. And again, it might have been, you don't know what it's like down that side compared to the other. So it didn't stop us as such, and it didn't look like it was as bad as have you seen in other games, and it could have been a lot worse. But I think it was definitely a factor.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, like, you know, kind of what you guys have said already, it was such a professional performance from Liverpool, wasn't it? And, you know, the way that we go about, when you said we scored on 77, I actually didn't realise it was that late, you know, because there's just a calmness that comes with watching Liverpool now. I mean, had that been the first third of the season when City are relatively close and not 25 points behind, actually that was after the game, 22 points behind, you're probably thinking to yourself, oh my God, we need to score, we need to score, we need to score. And yet for this one, I was just sat there going, we're going to score eventually. When Mane comes on, I'm like, well, he's going to get the winner.
Yeah.
And that's what he does, isn't it? I mean, it just felt like we just had more gears to go into if we needed to, but also we maybe had one eye on not overexpending ourselves ahead of Atletico in the Champions League.
Potentially, yeah, and that, I think that played into the team selection as well. I think, you know, I was in no doubt that whatever situation the game was in, we'd have seen Mane at some point. But obviously, you know, just hit some minutes in the legs. But I wasn't necessarily surprised when he didn't start the game either, given the form that Chamberlain was in before the break. I totally agree with you though. In terms of I was watching it with my mate, and we were having the conversation again about, you know, how do you get anything out of a game against Liverpool? And when I think it was probably not long before the Keita chance that's a really good double save from Krul. But I'm sat there and I'm saying to him, we're gonna score, and Norwich need to go and find themselves a goal, and I just can't see them doing it. And it's just that simple for Liverpool at the moment. We're gonna score, and we're not gonna concede. And it's not necessarily down to the fact that Norwich are crap going forward. You know, they're pretty good in terms of the way they move the ball, and you know they've got some exciting players at the likes of Cantwell and Pukki and players like that. But it just never seems like an issue for our back line. They were picking up the ball at times in midfield and they were finding themselves a little bit of space. But once they get into the attacking third, I just never felt worried or under threat. And it's not necessary. I just don't think they're just not at the level that we are. And again, it's just that I know that we're going to score. So we're winning the game then, aren't we? Because
Norwich can't.
Because Norwich just can't. And unless, you know, they obviously have the one chance that Alisson, you know, gets a big hand on. But unless you get something random like the Tetty shot that he's, you know, flukes and hits the post with, you know, something like that.
Alisson still had that covered.
I think he did as well. But unless something like that happens, you know, that kind of freakish event at the moment just feels like we're invincible at the back. It's mad.
I mean, one of the big reasons that we are looking so invincible at the back, I mean, we'll talk about the defence a little bit later, Kieran, but you've got Alisson in between sticks there, and I know that, you know, it's probably ruled out through VAR for offside, but Alisson goes and makes this incredible save when the ball's played through to Pukki. And he's just in everyone's head at the moment, isn't he?
I couldn't believe that he looked like he committed to that, and then he still managed to like reset himself and get his hand on the ball. I thought it was fantastic save, to be honest.
It's a massive bear paw.
Yeah, it is. His hand looks huge. It looks like one of the hands from American football where they got the big finger.
the foam hands with the wrestling.
And
that's what keepers should do that with the gloves, shouldn't they?
Just get massive gloves in. He is fantastic. He's what a presence he must be for people at the back. I know Van Dijk is a hell of a player, and Gomez has come on a lot this season. I think again, you know, after how good he was at the start of last season, I think he's come on again this season because he's sort of taken charge in different points. Even in this game, I've seen him drop back when Van Dijk was forward a bit, and he looked like he was in control there. But it's got to be through having people like Alisson behind him.
We talk about it quite often, George, about the way the defenders, they back off and they force a forward to do something, don't they? Mm-hmm. That's actually what Alisson did in that 2-on-1 situation, isn't it? He doesn't dive in. He holds off, he forces the striker to make a decision, and he makes the decision that Alisson wants him to make. And how difficult must it be to try and put yourself in Alisson's shoes there, to be able to be that calm when there's 2-on-1 against you?
Yeah, I think it's, and like we were saying, like he is so calm at the back, and he does things with the ease that people, like afterwards, are saying, oh yeah, but it was an easy save for him to make. And it's like, in what world? Like in every other, you see either he's going round the keeper, which he sort of tried to do, or you're squaring it. There's so many options for them forwards that just sometimes I think...
How many times do you see that goal scored? Just pass across, bang, easy.
But I think that's why it works. Alisson, there's so many options for him on the ball that he's just like, I'll go round, and Alisson's just like, well, that's not going to happen. And I think the fact that he's so calm at the back, and he is... you know, this presence, it just goes right through the team. And what we were saying the other week was, I don't think we've had that for a long time, of a goalkeeper that just, no matter what's going on, we kind of feel safe at the back. And I think he's a large part of why Liverpool are doing so well.
I must admit, I was watching the Villa game yesterday, and I said something on the Instant Match Reaction on Saturday evening, which is on the redmentv.com. If you want sort of a 10-15 minute show straight after the game, it's over there, along with the Man of the Match show is over there as well. And I said, like, Alisson is so much better than any goalkeeper I've seen in a Liverpool shirt. And, you know, now, I'm 37, right?
Don't
so
look it.
I've seen, thanks mate, I fucking feel it though, you know. And so I've seen Grobbelaar, although I don't really remember, I didn't see the best of Grobbelaar. The one that I remember wasn't the best of Bruce Grobbelaar. And I've seen all the 90s keepers, and I've seen Pepe Reina was the kind of the standout goalkeeper. Yeah. But I was watching the Villa game, and I know Pepe Reina's probably not the keeper that he was for us. And how, although he makes the saves for Villa, Ben, he looks really fraught at times.
You just look Victorian in the sense of old-fashioned. You know what I mean?
To be honest, he makes a load of good saves, but he never looks calm. He's always like bouncing around like like that, you know what I mean? But he's still making the saves. Alisson comes across, has time to straighten his hair as he's making the save, like, you know what I mean? And you're like, how have you managed to do that, lad?
It's interesting what you say about him being in players' heads, maybe. You know, I wonder, you know, as that ball's played over, and forgive me, I've forgotten the player that eventually ends up taking the ball down.
Just go with forward, you don't need to say that. I went with forward before. Covers it nicely. The forward's about to pass it to Pookie. That's what I said, and no one got onto that. They had no idea what the lad's name was.
Secrets of the industry there from Chris Bajak, presenting masterclass.
But I'm supposed to give it away, but
as the forward takes it down.
They'll never know, Ben.
No, they won't. In the heat of the moment, right? And I'll never know because I'm not a forward myself. In the heat of the moment,
Ben.
No, but in the heat of the moment, obviously you can never tell what's going through a player's head. But is part of his decision to want to play that pass rather than shooting down to the fact that he knows that Alisson's closed him down?
Yeah, definitely.
I think a lot of it as well is you got to remember what position Norwich are in, and also the fact, you know,
last.
Exactly. This game is a lot. It's not just, you know,
more than 25 points behind us.
It's more than just, you know, bragging rights or we've helped them to a draw. It's actual 3 points. It means something to that club. And for them to potentially go one in front, you think of the pressure that guy's under, and then you look up and you see Alisson's in there, and you just think, oh.
And it's a bad pass as well as a result of it because he's flustered into making a decision. A good forward there takes that shot on and scores.
Lovely.
A good forward takes that shot on and scores because yeah.
And he's not.
And he's not. This forward,
whoever he is.
This forward in question, as for whatever reason, you know, obviously one of the reasons is Alisson, but he's obviously trying to make that decision, and then as a result, you know, the influence of Alisson there means that he's playing a pass. If he plays the right pass, as in he plays a good pass in that situation, it probably looks like a good decision because Pookie's just going to put it in, but because of the speed of the situation and how quick the centre-backs eventually get back, and, you know, it must feel like everybody's on top of him all at once. He's forced into making that decision. As I say, you know, I feel like Firmino doesn't pass there. You know what I mean? Firmino just slops it
through legs,
you know
or something.
I mean? It's just, but because of the goalkeeper,
they need to score, so he's gone for what he believes is probably the easiest way of them scoring, which is pass it round the goalkeeper.
Going back to what you said about Reina looking fraud, Alisson mentioned it himself, I think, this week. He said, people saying my saves look easy, it's because he's not doing the TV saves. He's not doing the diving, looks like it's 5 meters and it's only down by his foot, you know what I mean? And that's probably where Alisson's breaking the mould a bit as a modern or a better goalkeeper. He's more concerned about what he can do with his feet as a footballer than doing the TV saves.
Did you see that video of him in training with taking the touch? No. Oh, it was insane. It was like booted up in the air, I think, from Trent, and he just fucking brings it down. Just absolutely like you'd expect from fucking Messi.
Ronaldinho or something. Yeah.
But I think as well, this distribution is so good. It's like you expect that from a lot of now modern goalkeepers. But his throw that he did straight to the midfield.
To Firmino.
Carragher was on about it, I think, when he
was
straight after.
like it was with pace. It was better than most passes that could even be played from the back, because he now sees as a goalkeeper, I have an advantage over some players in distributing a ball, and he's used that to like the full advantage.
Yeah, and it's one thing being able to make the pass. It's one thing being able to make the throw. It's the fact that he sees these things consistently. Now, we know he's got an assist already this season, and he'll probably get more, to be honest with you. But it's those passes, the ones to the midfield, where there might be 2 or 3 passes before the shot. They're just as important as the assist, because they break you out. And he's able to do it, and he always seems, for me, to just pick that right pass. You know, and whether it be to Firmino, who's in the centre and a hard pass, or whether it just be a 6-yard throw to Trent, or to Robbo, or Van Dijk, it doesn't matter as long as he's picking the right pass. And that's what he's able to consistently do. And when you think back of the great keepers in this league, and, you know, Peter Schmeichel, for me, was probably the best goalkeeper that the league's seen. For what he did and how strikers would shit themselves every time they were in front. That's what Alisson's up against. David De Gea was one of those keepers as well. Everyone's trying to hit the top corner or the bottom corner because they know it has to be a perfect shot to go past him. He had, I think it was 77% save percentage last year. He's up in the 80-odd% this year. He's leading the league in save percentage again. He's just taken this to a new level. In fact, the only fellow with a higher save percentage over a course of a season was Peak Petr Cech, who saved something like 93% of his shots one year, which is crazy. You know, I think I'm right in saying that Alisson's about 87.
I think if he has another season, like obviously this season's brilliant and he's done compared as well, he's got better than last season. I think if he has another season of like such level, then I think it is then that you start putting in the question of like where he ranked. Yeah.
Fuck that, he already is.
No, I think he needs another one.
He's better.
No,
it's
right
the
now, no, but you
consistency over
mentioned,
long
you know,
term,
Peter Schmeichel, Petr Cech. Like,
oh, right, those. Right,
yeah,
okay, sorry.
in the league, without doubt. Like, who else is there? But as in long term, is actually putting his name amongst like legends.
I mean, how many seasons was Cech and Schmeichel doing it for?
Yeah, no, fair point. If you compare him to the best ever, I mean, the lad's going to win the Premier League. He's going to win the European Cup. He's a world champion.
That's
he's
what
won
I mean.
the Copa
He's
Libertadores.
almost there.
Did he get a Golden Glove last year as well?
Yeah.
He's got fucking tons of them.
He's got all sorts.
He got 3 Golden Gloves last year, didn't he?
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
where he's going to put them all. Like, he's going to be wearing one on his fucking left boot. You know what I mean? He's insane. He's absolutely insane. Like, we have not talked about it, but the lineup. Obviously, we went with Keita in midfield. Henderson dropped into the 6, Kieran. I'll start with you on this one. It was a little bit of a surprise for me anyway. I don't know whether it was for you, and then Keita to start.
Yeah, I like seeing Keita. I want to get more time, and I think this is the type of game you give him more time in. I do feel like it's a shame and a waste putting Henderson in the 6, because of his form and everything when he goes higher up, and you could see that later on in the game how much of an improvement there was in the intensity and the way he was putting some of the balls in and just being more threatening in general. But Keita had flashes of good stuff, like I mentioned earlier about the shot he had where he just got it tipped over and almost a sitter he missed. Yeah, I'd like to have seen him score that, but I think when Keita seems like the type of personality, only from what I've seen on camera and stuff and the way his body language is, as soon as he gets a bit more confidence and he feels like he's in the right place at the right time and knocking the goals in every now and again, I think you really get the best out of him. And that's obviously what Klopp wants, is I think, long term, is him in his midfield. And it's an exciting time for Liverpool in that sense, and you've got all these players that are ready to go behind them. But it was good to see Fabinho come on, and maybe he could have done with the minutes from the start, but it wasn't too much of a surprise for me to see Keita.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, I really was surprised to see Keita. I thought it would be one of Keita and Ox. I didn't think we'd see both of them, you know what I mean? But I was really happy to see him, Georgia. I think, you know, if you look online and on social media, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, it was a real split between he was dog shit and he was the dog's bollocks. Where were you? Were you somewhere in between or...?
Bang in the middle. I think he had a good game. I wouldn't say he was standout. I think it's such a hard position for him to be in, because we say it all the time, if you would have had that type of play in the performance he's put in a season or 2 ago, amazing, like but because of the standards I think Liverpool have set, especially in the midfield, you've got to do that little bit extra to start getting some notice. And like you said, I think as soon as he starts getting a bit confidence, which is what he needs, games like that to be playing to get that confidence, I do think we will start seeing the best of him. And I think that's what every Liverpool fan wants, really, because I think we know there's something in there.
He's so young as well. Isn't he?
Yeah, we forget that. We forget how young he is and what sort of, who he's been playing for and things like that. I think we just want him to kind of relax, settle, become a bit more confident, and then, see the best of him in the Liverpool shirt.
It feels to me, Ben, like he needs to feel a part of the team. And I don't know whether he doesn't quite feel a part of the first team yet because he has had those injuries and he hasn't had that run of games, but there's a player there.
Yeah, definitely. I think you were spot on, Kieran. I wasn't sure. When I saw the lineup, I was surprised as well. But I think it is the type of game that he thrives in. If you think about, again, the likes of Norwich and Bournemouth and Southampton, like those teams that do like to play it a little bit more, like to play a little bit more football in terms of going forward themselves. You end up with pockets of space for Keita where he can pick up the ball, and he's so unique in the way he runs with the ball. By the way, I've never seen a player like him in terms of the way he controls it with it, and the way he runs. It's such a again unique style in terms of who's on the ball when he's got the ball. It's quite peculiar sometimes, but and the way he strikes that ball as well. When he does have that shot, it's just a kind of hits across it. It's interesting, but obviously it works for him. And as a result maybe of that, he's one of the more exciting players on the ball. It always feels like, and this is something for me that has been a pattern throughout of Keita's whole career at Liverpool so far. There's so many nearly moments for him. You know what I mean?
That Leicester one.
Just that. Or if that ball was just a split second sooner, or if it was just a little bit more on it. You know what I mean? There's so many little things. And I think one day those kind of things will click for him, and eventually he will create so many more clear-cut opportunities and get so many more assists, because just that extra, those fine margins that you need in the Premier League to be a top-class midfielder. I don't know if he has quite yet, but I think he'll get there eventually. And again, just those odd little things I think is what is just lacking from his game. That slight cutting edge that I think will take him from a good player that we know he is to a player that is going to be noticed by everybody, of all fans of all clubs in the Premier League, and be rightly recognised eventually as one of the top players. Yeah,
he's such an enigma. I love his running style, and that I think the thing that he kind of runs a little bit like the closest I can think of is a little bit like Sterling.
Yeah.
In the way he holds his body quite straight and all that type of stuff. But he always has his head up when he's dribbling, which is mad because he doesn't seem to be looking at the ball.
He doesn't seem to be in control of the ball. He doesn't feel like he is sometimes,
but he is. He's got it. He's just got it. He's just an enigma, and he just does things that our players don't do, our midfielders don't do. And I think he can rightly be talked about for giving the ball away a lot. I think he gave the ball away 19 times during the game, which is 15 times less than Trent, one less than Robbo, one less than Jordan Henderson even, who is quite a safe player, you would say. So although he was probably fourth for giveaways on the side, Henderson, Trent, Robertson, no one has a go at them. Whereas what he was trying to, where he was losing the ball, his final third, picking out those through balls, trying to thread it. And I think sometimes the one thing that Keita hasn't quite got at the moment is that he's not quite on the same wavelength as the players around him all the time. There's a couple of passes, and it's really noticeable, where he passes it and there's no one there, and you're like, what were you seeing there? Because Salah runs inside and he plays the ball out, and you're just a bit like that. That's the thing that Liverpool don't do. It's why it's so noticeable, because they all play together normally. You got Fabinho, you got Henderson, Wijnaldum, James Milner, whoever, and that front three. They've all played together for 2 seasons, almost every week. You just don't see those miscommunications very often. So when Keita does come into the side and he plays one of those balls, I think it's quite noticeable. But then there's other ones where he does something, you're like, how the fuck have you done that? Where did that come from? How did you see that? And that's the thing that he'll give us, and why I think it's great. It's a great shout, Ben, to play him against someone like a Norwich, where they've got 6 at the back, and you just need someone to break the deadlock in a slightly different way. Yeah. They're going to try and stifle Robertson and Trent, and we're going to have to play through the middle at times, and Keita's probably our best option to do that. I mean, let's talk about another midfielder, because I think, it's a difficult one for me, Ben, because I really love Wijnaldum, but I love watching him in stadium because I think you see more of what he does in stadium. So it's a strange one for me to watch him on the telly and then look at him and go, he wasn't really very involved. But I think that's what Wijnaldum is like when you watch him on the telly. Because every time I watch him on the telly, unless he's scoring, you don't really notice what he's doing.
No, I mean he's similar. I mean he's similar to how we used to perceive probably Henderson in that same sense. You know what he that's not his job. You know it's not his job to be bursting out from midfield like you'd expect from Keita or Chamberlain when he plays there and creating opportunities like that. But Gino Wijnaldum's job is to do the very basics spot on in midfield. It's to hold up the ball properly. It's to pick the right passes at the right time to then eventually start attacks. But he's almost like the pass before the pass before the pass that then creates a chance. I think. So what's that?
A key pass.
No, well, he's a pass before a key pass. He's
and
always
before that as well.
And before that sometimes, and then
he starts the moves.
I think he does. To conclude.
To conclude.
But I think that's what's asked of him, and there's always comparisons, isn't there, about what he does for the national team and yada yada yada. He's clearly capable.
He plays in a different way.
He plays. He's clearly capable of that. But I think he's so integral to the way that midfield works in terms of the way he can drop in and play alongside the six as well. He's essential to the way the midfield is balanced. Yeah. Because you've got Jordan Henderson there sitting in a six, who that's the defensive role. He is the middle ground between what Keita does, who's more of the advanced, almost playing the 10 midfielder, and he bridges the gap between those two players, and I think he's the best player in our squad at doing that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Kieran, what did you make of Wijnaldum then in that one?
Yeah, it's like you say. I've watched it on the telly, so it's hard to quantify what he does on the pitch. When you go, people like yourself who go to watch him so often, you will see, like Ben says, how he starts a move and how he breaks down other people's attacks. And it's sometimes you've got to take into account people who would go into all the games like yourself. You've got to take their word for it, because unless the Sky pundits are watching the game and they point it out on Match of the Day or after the game or whatever, I won't get to see it. I still think
that's the problem. I think a lot of the time Sky are cutting to a chance that happened when it's in Wijnaldum's area of the field, or just another random replay, or quite honestly, they're advertising a game that's coming up in 7 weeks' time that no one gives a shit about, which is something that they do all the time, isn't it?
But I do like watching, and I like Genie being part of the team, because whenever I do see him, he doesn't really fuck up, to be honest. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's the main thing you can ask from every player, is just stay concentrated and give it your all. And he comes off the pitch pissing with sweat, so he's giving his all, and you never see him mess up, so he's staying concentrated.
That's the thing when we say about Keita, it's like he's so, at the moment, inconsistent, because he has flashes of brilliance and then he'll go and give away a simple pass. Yeah. And I think with Genie, like, the thing is, he's so consistent that you kind of just forget sometimes you just forget how good he is sometimes, because he's not making the killer through ball, but he's breaking play up, or he's shifting the ball so that we can make that. So I think sometimes he goes like vastly unnoticed, especially because a lot of TV doesn't really cater towards that type of player.
No, they want to see the splashing goal.
And then the other one in the midfield who slots back into that six really well, Jordan Henderson, picked up where he left off really.
Yeah, just obviously, he, as Kieran said before, he does become a little bit more advanced later on in the game. He goes and gets the assist, doesn't he? It's another fantastic quality ball to set up Mane for the goal. And I think that's the one thing for me that we've really seen an improvement from in terms of Henderson over the last 18 months or so. He was always good at pass selection, in terms of, I think you could always see the pass that he wanted to play, but I've never seen him play at a level where he's delivering quality passes like that on a consistent basis. Particularly before Fabinho arrived and he was playing in the 6 most weeks, it felt, and it's a different role, and maybe that's part of the reason. Maybe it's just something that we haven't had the opportunity to see under Klopp until Fabinho was allowed to really take ownership of that role and push Henderson forward. But it felt as if the sideways passing Jordan Henderson, and now I don't completely, never really completely agreed with it. But you know, a lot of what he did in that role was now what we expect from Fabinho, where he's either, you know, he's playing it forward, he's playing the pass before the pass again, or he's playing it out wide, he's playing it to the fullbacks and things like that. Now in that role, he feels like he's got a lot more license to be a bit more creative and play the more, you know, elusive passes that he's not been able to play earlier on in his Liverpool career.
I think there's a couple of things that go in. I think a large part of it, as people mention all the time, is that, you know, we've seen Fabinho do it and you see what Fabinho can do. And the one thing that nobody ever mentions is the defence has changed completely, really, since then. You know, you've got Alisson in there, you've got Van Dijk in there, we're not conceding goals. When he's playing that 6 now, he's not worried about Lovren and Matip over his shoulder. And if he gives the ball away, what's going to happen here? Our team's going to break on us. Am I going to be there, like, you know, there with my fire extinguisher out, getting the CO2 all over it, like? So he's now, if he gives the ball away, that's fine. We've got them at the back behind me. It doesn't really make any difference. Yeah. So I think there's loads of different things that will come with that. But Henderson, when he moved to that 8 role, Georgia, again, he just seemed to grab the game by the scruff of the neck, didn't he?
Again, I think he has that licence because there is that trust and faith in what's behind him. I think that's the main thing when we say it. I think that every single player now has trust in either who's behind them or who's next to them. Yeah. I don't think that's been the case for a long time, and you can see it in other clubs of where that's not the case. And I think that's why when he does step forward, he thinks, no, it's all right to have that licence to kind of, you know, try and pick that pass out, because it's the right things he's doing all the time. And even if they don't come off, I think because you can see what the intention was, that there's never really a big kick-off because he's doing the right things.
Yeah, one thing we need to talk about, I've got a few more things that I want to discuss. Mane, Kieran. I mean, I don't know who's better than him at the moment, because as soon as he came on, we knew he was scoring, and what a fucking goal that was.
Incredible. I mean, his leg looks like it shouldn't be able to pull anything down. It's so straight and rigid, and then he just hooks it in lovely, and you see the muscles bulging in his thighs when he kicks it. I did, yeah. Couldn't miss it, mate. No, but
there's something else bulging in your trousers when it happened, lads.
Dirty bastard.
Whatever works for you, Kieran, whatever works for you.
Anyway, about his bulging muscles, he had the strength in his legs. I'm saying he just they look like they're robotic. I mean, he is a fantastic player, and this he for me, when you see Knox in there, he's getting his feet on the ball and he's looking for something to happen. Mane gets the ball to his feet and he just makes it happen. He's running at the defences. He's getting right down the wing, cutting inside, and scoring a beauty of a goal. And you were just talking about Henderson, for me, I go out on a bit of a limb. I say Henderson is my favourite player, I think. And
really?
Yeah, I do think he is. And not just jumping on the bandwagon with that. I've said pretty much since he's come in how much I've loved him because the effort he's always, like I said about Genie, the effort he's always put in. And I probably relate to that because the only thing I could do on a football pitch is run around like a headless chicken. So I can appreciate how much effort he must be putting into games. And
I wish I could run around like a headless chicken. I can just the headless chicken part of that sentence. But no one can doubt my commitment for the first 10 minutes of the game of 5-a-side. The next 50 is you can definitely doubt it. You can doubt it all you want. Like,
get him in goal.
Stood still.
But yeah, Mane is just someone phenomenal, and he brings some of the best aspects, I think, not just about our team, but about the club into him. How generous he is and how caring he is about his hometown and stuff. How proud Scousers are. He brings it all in. I've
got a nice little thread here. Did anyone see this from Gingerific_KNH?
I think I know what you're going to say. I think I've read it, yeah.
So basically she tweeted, and it was a picture of the Mane goal, or a video of the Mane goal. So if anyone wants to hear me talk about the incredible biomechanics involved in this goal, please let me know. Sadio Mane is an incredible masterclass of how head leads, body follows. Everyone probably yelled touch, but you could list why. He shifted his shoulder girdle back without straining his scalenes to counterbalance his leg. So much poison efficiency. Then his eyes led the movement towards the ball. Eyes lead the head head leads the spine. Then, after a few steps he shoots, he uses the natural spiral of his spine to provide momentum to his strike. You can see him wind up and then unwind. Even though his face isn't pointed to the place where the ball goes, this is still head leads, body follows. Here's the thing. Palpate the back of your head just under the bumps of the skull. I'll let you do this at home. Then move only your eyes. Did you feel the movement of your suboccipital muscles? I did this last night and it's boss. So yeah.
Thanks for reading this like 50 Shades of Grey, by the way.
Yeah, it was very ASMR,
I've got one more to go. Can you see how his left hip and right shoulder move toward each other with the strikes? So lovely. We're a system of counterbalances. If you move one part of your body in one direction, you need to move something else in your system the other way. I'm not going to lie to you. I was reading that in bed and I was very excited reading it.
I just said it was like reading Marks and Spencer's advert.
But she's right. When you're in the ring of fighting, you try and move anyone. You move the head first, and their body will follow whether you want them to or not. And like I said, it's about his bulging muscles. It is fantastic. To me, that's vindication.
No, look, the goal is absolutely world class in it, and it's interesting. Have we ever been at a point, and maybe at certain points of 17, 18, where both Mane and Salah have been at
firing
top form like this?
It always felt like they were alternating slightly, didn't it?
One have 1 week and the next have the other week, and they take
because even Salah, I think I seen better performance from leading up to the winter break, but he still has the flashes, doesn't he? In this game, if you think about the Keita chance, he brings it down in the box, the shot that's a good save from Krul, and obviously Keita follows it in. But things like that.
Head leads, body follows.
Exactly. Thank you very much. The way he does that, at the moment you can tell that Salah's right up for it as well. Just feels like at the moment. Even for me, the no-look pass to Wijnaldum early on the first half was absolute sex. It was absolutely gorgeous. Like the three of them, I don't know whether we've ever seen all three of them in tandem. As bizarre as it sounds to say, because Liverpool's front three now has been, sending messages around Europe for God knows how long. Everybody's been aware of this front three for a long time since Salah arrived. But have they ever been individually in as sharp a form all at the same time? I don't know.
Let's just go no.
No.
This is the best.
Be amazing.
This is it, isn't it?
You can't be perfection, can you?
And you know what? I think it's interesting because I don't know whether I've watched the Sky commentary and Jamie Carragher was talking about it. I was watching the Match of the Day commentary as well. Both sets of commentary talked about the winter break and how Liverpool has this winter break stopped Liverpool's flow and all that. No, that's not, obviously, we've been discussing this for weeks. That's not what the winter break has been designed to do. The winter break, we're going to see the long-term effects of the winter break as we go into the running, or as we see out the season, essentially.
The parade.
The parade, yeah.
I've never watched as much punditry as I do now.
No.
Because I just want to see people gushing.
Yeah, so it's fantastic. Every time. Roy Keane's on Monday Night Football tonight. That'll be great.
Yeah, Chelsea, Manchester United, and it doesn't matter because we're 25 points clear at the top.
Yeah, it's great.
And these people are going to have to mention the fact that we're 25 points clear at the top. Otherwise, what are they doing? They need to know that we're 25 points clear at the top. I need a count on this.
Just trying to get a few more.
I needed to. Where are we up to? 15.
Oh,
10 more, 25 points ahead. To go. 9 now, as it stands.
Okay.
We've only got a few topics left, which is why I wanted to mention that we're 25 points clear at the top of the league table just a few more times. Ben,
okay.
What were you saying?
I can't remember. Something about it being 25 points. The parade. Yeah, but we're going to see now the benefits of the rest that they've just had. As we begin to build up momentum again, obviously, I think a key thing is that we've got Atletico Madrid coming up. European football is hopefully going to be consistently a part of our season from between now until the end of May, as well as the Premier League. But the fact that those three all look so, even Mane when he came on, despite his own injury, if you excuse the phrase, they all look so fit. They all look so physically fit and firing and sharp. And I think it's scary that there might be another level to it all.
Going to your point about the three of them working in tandem, I can't really remember the front threes of the dominant Man United team, but did they ever time it like this? Did they ever come in at their own end of the season?
You mean with like the Tevez, Ronaldo, Rooney and all
Yeah,
that?
did they feel like
that
they
was
Periods
part
where
of-
the five of them were scary
I
because
think
they're
that's
Berbatov as well.
why they were so effective, because you had
They timed it right.
Yeah, I think, and what's happening with the Liverpool side now is they're all so different in what they do. Firmino is very much this creative like spark. You've then got Salah, who can absolutely bury a ball from wherever and also dribble past 6 people in their own box. But then you've got Mane, who makes these runs that you wouldn't think of, and fortunate enough we've got midfield who can see that. I think with the Man U side, I think you have Ronaldo, who was very much similar. You had Tevez, you had Rooney, who was the creator. Like they were all so different, but they worked off each other. I think that's what's happening now with Liverpool, is that they've all hit this form and they've realised we don't have to do the same thing. What we're doing, our own individual thing, is helping each other.
Yeah.
So my hope is that every year now they click at the right time and we carry on beating everybody.
I'll one up you there. I just hope they click forever. Because they can do. They're good enough players.
Because next season, when we have Timo Werner ahead of Firmino and he's playing in a 10, I mean, it's just lights out for everybody, innit? They don't bother showing up.
And Sancho on the bench
Yeah.
as well, and Mbappe coming in for under 23s games. It's going to be fantastic, isn't it? Okay, so I think, look, one of the things that we didn't speak about Mane is how much, well, I think he does anyway. I think he improves the players around him. I think you see Robertson's game step up again when Mane comes on the field. You know, Robertson creates chance after chance after chance in that game.
He believes in him. He knows if he gets him the ball, we're going to be more than 25 points clear come the end of the season.
We are just 25
Superb.
points clear, so we've got a nice little 2 in there. So what's that, 6 to go? 5 to go, only 5 to go. Oh, we've got this. We've got
5 more
this.
wins until we win the league, because we're 25 points clear, Chris.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then after the West Ham game, it will be 4
it'll
because
be
we're
4.
25 points clear. We'll be 27 points clear.
Well, because West City have to play West Ham this week, so it might only be 22.
But they'll go back to being 25 points
it will
clear.
be.
25
3.
after the game.
Right, let's save them. Let's save those 3. I just want them in the back pocket. I don't want to go more. 2, shit. Right. Okay, we're saving those 2. Love seeing Milner back. Not that he did a great deal. I just want to talk a little bit about the interviews after the game. Did anyone see Hendo helping Mane out? And just being so boring?
Calm down.
Mane was like, don't, and then it was... I got this. 1 game at a time. Poor
I
Mane,
love it.
he just tells the truth, doesn't
Yeah,
he?
he
Like,
does.
Down the
he's got a
lens.
serum in him and he just can't lie.
I absolutely love it, because all of them, even Henderson, he comes in, he does the boring spiel, but then they just don't believe their own bullshit anymore. They're saying it and they're going, yeah, 1 game at a time. It's like it's some kind of formality, isn't it? An interviewer shows up and they all know that the question's going to be asked, and the interviewer asks the question knowing exactly what answer he's going to get. The players know exactly what they're going to say while he's saying the question, and then they go. It's like some kind of like just transaction at the moment where they go, yeah, and they say that, and then actually when the interview goes off, he goes, sorry, I had to ask you again, and they go, it's fine, don't worry, we know it's fine.
Except this time,
Yeah.
the interviewer's there and he's seen like a baby fucking cattle or something, and he's a lion.
I'm
He's
getting
the
him.
plane
Get
just
out
the
of this one, yeah.
Serengeti, and he's circling the weak young Sadio
Yeah.
Mane, and Mane's about to just give it all up, and he's like, oh yeah, we've won the fucking league, we're 25 points clear, yeah. We're absolutely sound, and then just comes in and goes, 1 game at a time.
1 game at a time.
And then just this big smile on his face.
But
like,
to be fair, even though he's saying that, we could joke about it, for the first time actually this week, and the manager as well, this seemed to be the warmest that they handled those questions, because they know it's done. And
Jovial, and
there is an etiquette to the way that we've got to see this out now. But even Klopp, if you watched Match of the Day, he did an sit-down interview with Gary Lineker after the game that they showed. They were sat on the bench, and Gary Lineker was going, but it is incredible what you're doing, and it is incredible the position you find yourself in. And for the first time, it felt as if Klopp sort of opened up a little bit about it, and he did say, it is incredible, he can sort of appreciate it himself. I think in previous weeks, you'd have been I'm not interested in this. You know, he says that a lot, doesn't he? You know, it's not something that interests me. You know, I'm just focusing. For the first time, it just felt as if there was a slightly warmer approach from the players and the manager, and it'll partly be down to the fact that the questions are wearing them down a little bit, and everybody knows that what they're saying isn't true. But it was nice to see. It was nice to see the play, and we'll get loads of that over the summer when eventually interviews are done about, you know, the team, the season that we go on to have.
But, and it'll be, when did you know it was done?
Yeah,
and there'll be like Christmas.
Yeah. When we beat City in November, you know, when or whatever. But it'll be those type of questions. But already, it feels as if we're starting to see the first glimpses of that content that we're going to see throughout the whole of the summer, where they look a little bit more relaxed at the moment. It's really nice
they will do, won't they? So finally, I thought Klopp handled the City stuff really, really well. Did anyone see his interview?
Yeah.
What did you make of it? Go on, Kieran.
He's got to be professional about it, isn't he? You can't go rubbing his face and I told you, cheating bastards. But you know, it'd be amazing if he did. And when they do get their ban, I hope he does. But it infuriates me to think any kind of cheating annoys me as a sportsman. I'm sure you feel the same way. Any kind of cheating is disgusting, in my opinion. Hang
on a minute, why didn't you include us just because you play sport?
Special.
Well,
I hate people who cheat.
Yeah, but any form of cheating is infuriating, and especially when it comes to something as dirty as money. You know what I mean? And
it takes effort, it's manipulative and calculated.
Team. Yeah.
But he makes a very good point, though, and I think this is why it was an angle I hadn't particularly considered, maybe because I'm not a sportsman and I have absolutely no sympathy for Manchester City either. But it's not Pep Guardiola's fault.
What they've done is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
But you've just taken the shine off everything.
It is.
Because there's someone else's in it.
It is, and it's spot on. So I thought what Klopp said, I thought he handled it very well in the sense of, if you were a fellow manager, and you know, you probably would feel sorry for Pep, because he's come in.
Maybe the
Pep's done
individuals
his job fantastically, and he's been okay. He's spent a lot of money, hasn't he? And we know that, but he's done it thinking that everything's fine, and he's brought the players in that he's
been told it's kosher.
He's been told that everything's fine. And he's brought the players in that he thinks he's going to allow him to play this football that he's played in this system that he wants to play, and he's done it perfectly. And rivalries aside, the 2 seasons that we've seen from Manchester City just gone have been some of the best football that I've ever seen. But you're right. I've still got no sympathy for them whatsoever. I despise that club. I don't like the way that club's run. I think that the way they have tried to fast track their way to becoming a super club, and it's just they've gone about it all wrong. But
should we save some of this for the Around the League show later? Because I know we could talk about this
all again. But I do like the way that Klopp sort of, approached the situation with, there has to be, from a fellow sportsman perspective, a little bit of sympathy for the players who've done nothing wrong.
I think as well with Klopp, I think you've seen him and Pep sort of have that relationship. I mean, the football, I think it was the Writers' Award, where they had like the bit of banter in their speeches and things. So I think that's the only way he would have approached it, would have been with kind of sympathy
they
and
played
kind
each other
of...
in Germany as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
There's respect there.
There's massive respect, and I think that's kind of just what we said, of although sympathy isn't there for Pep or anybody in that position as a manager, you do have to kind of feel something towards that, but for the situation as a whole, you don't.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there you go. That has been the final word on Liverpool beating Norwich by 1-0. And for the last time, I think, Liverpool are 25 points clear at the top of the Premier League. That is, Liverpool are 25 points clear at the top of the Premier League. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to check out the channel later on. We'll be coming back with the Uncensored Match build-up show ahead of Liverpool versus Atletico, and check out OneFootball, the app. Click that link in the description. It's absolutely superb. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Ta-ra.